Errol the True Spence Jr. says he just might pull up on Terence Crawford at his fight with AMIR April 20th. Stay tuned, coming up next.
Hey, this is Cassie, and you're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout out to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV.
Shout outs to Blue Blood Sports TV.
You're watching Blue Blood Sports TV. Hola, habla Cindy, está viendo Deportes TV.
What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, Blue Blood Sports TV, back at y'all with another one. So Errol the True Spence Jr., the IBF undefeated welterweight champion, calls out Terence Bud Crawford once again in his live stream. He did a live stream and he talked about this. Interesting thing is, I had asked Errol Spence after his victory over Mikey Garcia, March 16th. I asked Errol Spence, I said the fight everybody wants to see is you versus Terence Crawford, and he stated, yeah, that's what everybody wants to see. And I asked him, are you willing to go to Terence Crawford's fight with AMIR and put pressure on Terence Crawford to make the fight happen next? In which Errol Spence responded to me and he said no, and he dropped the mic, right? But now Errol Spence is saying, you know something? I just might pull up to his fight. I just might pull up on him and see what he's talking about. He said, listen, tell Bob Arum to call Al. Let's make it happen, right? So I love this attitude from Errol Spence Jr., man. I love it. He said, listen, I'm not afraid of anybody. I'm definitely not afraid of a dude from Nebraska, right? So this is the fight the world wants to see. It's definitely being built up. I believe that both parties at this point in time definitely want to build up the fight. I'm not too sure if both parties involved are willing to make this fight happen next, or they just want to let it build and simmer, because it's the next mega fight. I stated this yesterday to John David Jackson, Carissa Shields' trainer. There were 3 fights in the sport of boxing that the world wanted to see. That was Carissa Shields versus Christina Hammer. We saw that last night as Carissa Shields totally dominated and outclassed Christina Hammer for undisputed. And another fight is Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder for the heavyweight undisputed, as both fighters are undefeated. And the other fight is Errol the True Spence Jr. versus Terence Bud Crawford, right? We want to see these fights happen. Deontay Wilder said, don't worry, the fight with Anthony Joshua is going to happen. Anthony Joshua is saying he want to fight Deontay Wilder next, so on and so forth. We've seen Carissa Shields, Christina Hammer. That's already out the way. As Carissa Shields proved her worth, she's the undisputed middleweight women's champion, undefeated, right? Now everybody wants to see these 2 fights are still left on the table. Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder, and Errol Spence Jr. versus Terence Bud Crawford, right? And hopefully, this can happen, man. How about a year of 2019 that we get all 3 of these fights? We get Terence Crawford versus Errol Spence. We got Christina Hammer versus Carissa Shields. And we get Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder. This might just be the best year in boxing history overall, all the way around, right? Not just one fight, but in boxing history for multi-fights in multiple divisions, right? Because Carissa Shields and Christina Hammer are obviously women in the middleweight division. Errol Spence and Terence Crawford are welterweights in the men's, and Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua are heavyweights, right? In the men's division, obviously, right? So that would be, downright, awesome. I don't know if there's another year you could point to that would be a better year all the way around, right? So hopefully they can find a way to get this done. I really wish, and this is the reason I asked Errol Spence if he's willing to show up to Terence Crawford's fight, and show, put pressure on Terence Crawford. I'm assuming that Anthony Joshua gets past Jarrell Miller, and I'm assuming that Terence Crawford gets past AMIR, right? And to get these fights, as Mikey Garcia already has been defeated by Errol Spence, right? And so with that said, this is the reason why I asked Errol Spence, is he willing to go to Terence Crawford fight and sit ringside, put pressure on him. You understand what I'm saying? That's how they used to do in the good old days, right? Muhammad Ali used to show up, right? Evander Holyfield used to show up to all Mike Tyson fights, right? Floyd Mayweather used to show up to some of his opponents' fights. Miguel Cotto used to do it. Manny Pacquiao used to do it. It's just it's the lane of the law in the sport of boxing, right? So hopefully Errol Spence Jr., he said that he was advised not to do so, but he really wants to do it. And hopefully, he go ahead and he does it, and just go ahead and listen. At the very least, you know, it's just going to build up the fight even more. Let's say he goes on to fight Sean Porter next, right? And Terence Crawford goes on to fight Danny Garcia. Should Danny Garcia get past Adrian Granados next Saturday, because he has a fight April 20th as well versus Adrian Granados, that being Danny Garcia. So, you know, maybe we see Terence Crawford versus Danny Garcia, and then we get Errol Spence versus Sean Porter. And if that is to happen, right, guess what? You know, it just builds it even more, because if Errol Spence is victorious against Sean Porter, which is not a foregone conclusion, but if he is victorious against Sean Porter, some feel that it's a foregone conclusion. I don't, because the sport of boxing, and Sean Porter is an upper echelon fighter, so you can't overlook him. All his losses were very, very, very close fights, right? He's never been blown out the water. He's very competitive in all his fights. So, you know, listen, he lost to Keith Thurman. He lost to Kell Brook. But all his fights were very, very close fights. Those were both close fights, you know, regardless if you thought he lost or won or whatever. So with that said, conclusion, but let's just say he is victorious, right, against Sean Porter. Now he'd be unified welterweight champion on top of it, right? So he would be holding the WBC and the IBF champion, and he's undefeated, right? So it makes that fight just that much more bigger. You understand what I'm saying? So let's see, man. Let's see how this plays out. Hopefully he does show up to a AMIR Khan fight with Terence Crawford, and he puts it in. And not to mention, it's at the world's most famous arena at Madison Square Garden. So imagine, you know, the crowd would erupt. You know, the headlines would erupt, right? You know, the talk of it would just be on 1,000. It would be on fleek, right? So, you know, at the very least, it would just build the fight. At the very least, you know what I mean? So, let's see how this plays out. But that's all I got for y'all, man. Errol Spence Jr. says he just might pull up on Terence Bud Crawford at his fight with. So, let's see how this plays out, man. He said his team was advising him not to, but he's still thinking about it, and he just might pull up on him. So let's see, man. Hopefully he does, man. It's excitement for the sport of boxing. It's an exciting time to be a fan of the sport of boxing. But that's all I got for y'all, man. This your boy Blue Blood Sports TV. Hate, like, comment, and subscribe. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell icon to get all the new notifications. Follow me on Instagram at Blue Blood Sports TV, all one word. Y'all already know what it is. Shout out to the entire LDBC. Shout out to New Media. Shout out to Black Media Row. Make sure you like and share these videos. That's all I got for y'all, man. Peace.